Hello everyone, welcome back to another very interesting video which could also probably get a little controversial. My name is Soshtavi and today we're discussing book to screen adaptations where the screen did it better. See, I'm a firm believer that book to screen adaptations, usually the screen adaptation can never live up to the book. Everyone already knows this, everyone who's a reader knows that a movie and a TV show based on a book can only come so close to what the original material is. However, every once in a while, there is an instance where the screen surpasses the material it's based off of, and today we're diving into everything that I feel, my personal opinion, did it better than the original book. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first one that I want to talk about is Nerve by Jean Ryan. This is a book about this truth and dare game essentially that happens online, and you can participate in this game either as a watcher who watches the people playing this game or as the player who plays the game. We follow Emma Roberts and Dave Franco as they're in this movie. They become players and they're choosing truths and dares, and with every truth and dare the level gets higher and higher and more dangerous, and you're also getting money. The bigger the dare, the bigger the truth, the bigger the amount of money you're receiving. So it's just it's a fun, good time, high stakes over the course of a 24-hour period story. The movie is fantastic, okay? Like, really good movie. You just have such a good time watching it and you're in there, you're feeling the pressure of the game. The book, on the other hand, is insufferable. The characters have no personality, the plot is slow and boring. You don't connect with the story at all in the book, and I wasn't even able to finish the book. That's how bad the book was for me personally. So that is one book where I definitely feel like the movie just took the concept and the characters and really fleshed them out in a better way for the screen. Next, now this one could get a little controversial, but I personally feel that the To All the Boys Loved Before movies are better than the books. I know, I said it. I know the books have a huge fan base as well, but when I read the book, I just couldn't connect to it. Lara Jean as a character is very different in the movie than she is in the books. She's still the happy-go-lucky girl who views life with like rose-colored lenses for sure, but she's just a lot more annoying and just so, this is just a personal opinion I feel, but she's so lovesick and lovelorn in the book, and it's just hard to connect to her. And the characters, the story, it doesn't flow the way it does in the movie. Like, I feel like the first movie especially is just a perfect rom-com. I rewatch it all the time. I haven't heard a single person say that that movie is not good, you know. Everyone always has a good time with that movie. The actors, they chose the perfect actors for that movie. I haven't read the other two books in the series. I read only the first book and I did not enjoy it, so I did not continue with the series. But yeah, I can fairly say that the movie is far better than the book. And also you can tell the production value of the movies as well, the way it's been shot, the way it's been aestheticized. The people who made the movies really knew. You could tell that they've studied film and they've done a good job. Next, I want to talk about Famous in Love. Now, Famous in Love is another book series. It's by Rebecca Surley. It's a duology by Rebecca Surley, and there's a show based on it. I think there's 2 seasons to it, and the show stars Bella Thorne. Now, Bella Thorne firstly is a phenomenal actress. I've always admired all her work. I admire her as a person as well. So she's a great actress. Any role you put her in, even if the movie material is not good, she will do a great job out of it anyway. And Famous in Love is just for all us rom-com lovers who every once in a while want something cheesy and cute and romantic and just want to like have a good time. And it's very loosely based on Famous in Love, the book duology. The story is basically about this girl. She's an aspiring actress, and one day in this world, there is a book series which is basically like Harry Potter level famous, and they're making a movie based on these books. And the actor in this movie, the male main character, he is one of the most famous actors in the world right now, and they're looking for a female to play alongside him as the female main character. So they decide to do an open call casting, and this girl, she's a regular girl, and she says, you know what, I'll audition for it. She does it and she gets the role. And almost overnight, she goes from being a regular person to one of the most famous actresses in the world. And obviously there's a lot of romance in there as well. It's a fun story. It's a little bit Wattpad in some ways, but it's really cute. The actors are really good. It's a fun time. It's a really fun time. So I highly suggest you watch that as well. The duology is unsufferable. I feel like the books feel like they're written by a 13-year-old. I cannot. It's so hard to digest those books. It's also very, very, very far from the show. The show people really just took the names of the characters and the basic plotline and made their own story out of it. The books are completely different, and I feel like what they've done with the show is far better. And on that note, another instance where the show was made a lot better than the original books and did not even actually follow the plotline of the books is Vampire Diaries. Now, I have very mixed opinions on Vampire Diaries, okay? It's a very, very, very popular show. Vampire Diaries, I was a huge fan of it when I was like in my mid-teens, in my younger to mid-teens. And it's a fun time watch. However, it's definitely a show made in its time. If you sit to watch it now, you will definitely see the cringy dialogue and CGI. And also, especially like everything onwards, say season 3, is a little ridiculous. You have to watch that show knowing that the plot is a little unhinged and ridiculous, but that's what you're kind of there for. That's the charm about it. I'm not a fan of the Vampire Diaries anymore, and I never enjoyed the later half of the season, so I stopped watching as well. But it's a moment in its time. I had a good time regardless back when I watched it, and it's definitely far better than the source material. I've actually read the first 5 or 6 books in the Vampire Diaries, and they're unhinged in a completely different way. Every time I have to talk about the books and explain what the books are, it's always so hard because the characters are completely different in the books. The plot is completely different. It almost feels like a whole other story, to be honest. It was honestly jarring reading the books, and they're not good either. The writing is very bland and very basic. I truly don't know how the books got where they got to. That's my opinion. Vampire Diaries, unhinged and not the best show out there for fantasy lovers or vampire romance lovers, but it does a good job. It did a good job for its time. It's iconic, right? It's one of the most iconic shows ever, and it far surpasses the book material. Next, this might also be a little controversial, but Me Before You, the movie, did it better than the book. I have read the book. I read the book first. It wasn't a bad book. It just wasn't anything brilliant. It was a little uninspiring. I wasn't very connected to it. I cried a little bit in the end, only for a certain reason. But apart from that, the book was just, you don't really connect to it. You feel like you're watching the story from afar. It just exists. There's nothing bad about it per se, but there's nothing good about it either. The movie, though, phenomenal movie, and I think that's primarily because of the actors. Emilia Clarke and Sam Claflin are phenomenal actors. They're obviously very well-established actors as well, and I have a soft spot for Sam Claflin anyway. The movie is just really well written. It's so cute. It makes you laugh. It makes you cry. You really feel for the characters, you get attached to them, you're rooting for them. And just, yeah, like the actors, I feel like are like the main reason why the movie is so well loved. The movie really does the job that the book was supposed to do for you. So that's why I think the movie is far better than the book. Next is The Last Song by Nicholas Sparks. Now, The Last Song is another movie that's for its time for sure, but I still have such a good time watching it. It stars Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. If you've grown up like me, or are the perfect mix between Gen Z and millennial like me, you know this movie already. You've grown up with it as well. Phenomenal movie. I still have such a good time watching it. When I Look at You is still one of my favorite songs ever. The movie is just really good, and I've read the book, and the book is cute, but it's definitely for its time. You can just tell how dated the material is, and it does get a bit draggy at points. Quite draggy actually at points. So the movie is just far, far, far better. It's about this girl, her parents have been separated and she does not get along with her dad. So she and her brother are going to spend a summer with her dad at this beach house, beach town. It's about her and the development of her relationship with her father, but also about the boy she meets in that town and how she falls in love with him. It's just a sweet story, you know. So yeah, definitely better. And another Nicholas Sparks book that I think was done better in the form of a movie is A Walk to Remember. A Walk to Remember is one of my favorite romance movies out there. It's definitely a guilty pleasure. I was in my teens when I first watched that movie, and something about it drew me so strongly For years, I would watch that movie every single month. Like, not kidding. I think for like 4 or 5 years straight, I have watched that movie every month and cried every time. I don't know what that movie did to me, but yeah, it was definitely a guilty pleasure because back then I wasn't even a fan of romances. And I've read the book, and the book actually I really like. The book is really, really good. If you like a sort of 2000s vibe of like a sweet small town, very chill, low level romance. It's really sweet, very down to earth. It's a really nice book. It's just that the movie is just a lot better. That's it. That's the only reason that, like, the book is great, but the movie is just a lot better. And the actors in that movie again are the ones who bring the story to life. So, A Walk to Remember is about these two characters. This guy who is sort of a bad boy, and he gets into trouble because of one of his antics. And this girl, she's the proper Christian good girl, does no wrong, looks at no wrong kind of a girl. They're in a play together, and he asks her for help, and she's trying to help him out, and they start to fall in love. And that's the story. But there's so much more to it, and there's a huge plot twist, and it's so cute. It's so cute. It's so sweet. It's pretty emotional as well. It's a great story. Great, great, great story. I highly recommend the movie. And the last one I want to talk about is the Maze Runner series. The Maze Runner is written by James Dashner. I remember reading this in school. There were certain books in my school time which were like super popular, and my entire class would be reading them. And there was a whole frenzy created around them. Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, Hunger Games, Divergent, Mortal Instruments, and of course, the Maze Runner series. I'm really fond of those books because of the nostalgia it reminds me of. And I did love the books, but I do remember feeling really disappointed in a lot of the second and the third book because of the path that the characters took, and a lot of things that was really upsetting, that just didn't sit well with me. That second book is the one that's the most tainted for me, especially, and a little bit of the third book as well. But overall, I do love the books. They are good books. I just feel like there's a lot of changes that have been made into them in the movie that aren't in the book, and I feel like those are the plot lines that I prefer. And the movies are also just a little bit more tighter, and again, phenomenal cast. Okay, we have Bill O'Brien, one of my biggest celebrity crushes ever, Kaya Scodelario, and Thomas Brody Sangster. Again, I love these three, honestly, like freaking love them. Amazing, brilliant actors. I highly recommend watching the Maze Runner movies if you love fantasy dystopian stories. They're super popular, so you already must have heard of what the Maze Runner is about. I would highly recommend the movies, honestly, if you haven't watched it already. The books are also great, but I just feel like the movies again have done it a lot better. So yeah, those are all the book to screen adaptations I want to talk about. If you have any more that you think where, like the screen did it better than the book, let me know. I'm really willing to check out more that have probably surpassed the original material. But yeah, those are all of mine that I can think of as of now. There could be more in the future, we never know. But yeah, that's it for today. Thank you so much again for watching and for engaging. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.